Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody. For the week of April 4th, I'm Ryan Miller, and Breakdown himself.
Go ahead and give it to me!
Matt Amberg, which isn't true. Technically, you overcame the breakdown and are now fully functional. As anybody who listened to our, oh, by the way, I titled that episode Special Still Alive, or Still Alive Special, I can't remember.
I am. It's true.
Because you are.
I am. You're not wrong.
And congrats. Continued congrats, actually.
Thank you. I appreciate my daily life.
You're good at it, I might add.
Thank you. I wake up every morning and wonder, am I doing this right?
Being alive?
Yeah.
You are.
And oftentimes I actually get into arguments with them. I don't think I'm doing it right. I think I'm not living appropriately. I'm not being alive.
And those are the people that wake up dead. Said the comedian. How do you wake up dead? Who is that? That's not a sign. That sounds too easy for.
It's Yakov Smirnoff.
Oh,
in Soviet Russia, you wake up dead.
I might have accidentally Yakoved that at the beginning. On Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week, and we invite you to do the same, and then find us and talk to us about it. You can find us at podcast at bookclubformovies.com or Facebook and Twitter or Patreon, where we are very recently still, I'll say, trying to get your money.
Yes,
so
it's you give us time here. We always ask for it, but we provide stuff, then we have to take steps back because life happens, hearts get destroyed, work.
I feel okay. Yeah, I feel like that's been the very first time we've been a little lax, and we do feel it. At the very least, know that, dear patrons, that we do feel it when we're not posting as often as we should. But honestly, your heart's working. Work is finally beginning to slow down a little bit for me. When I say work, I mean like people paying me to do things. So
yeah, that's what work is.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is like work, but that's work.
That's work. This is the gig. The gig for me, a gig is fun. A gig is a good time.
Okay, sure, all right, yeah. This is the gig. I'm a gigging.
You're
now.
You're the giggler. See? Proof.
Batman villain that giggles. So Matt, this week, speaking of giggling, we are doing the movie we said we would do and then jokingly didn't do for, my gosh, probably 3 weeks running now. Has it been that long?
If you don't do that to a movie with the title like this, I don't really know what we're doing or anybody.
Which the title being Breakdown, like I said. Matt, do you have a synopsis for Breakdown?
Me have a synopsis for Breakdown without having a breakdown? We'll try. It's going to come at you in an hour and 33 minutes. Written by Sam Montgomery, directed by Jonathan Mostow, starring Kurt Russell, J.T. Walsh, Kathleen Kinlan, MC Gainey, and Jack Noseworthy. Here is your Book Club for Movies synopsis for Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Breakdown, honey, take me through the make me break down.
Awesome. That's the best synopsis you've ever done, I think, maybe.
As Jeff and Amy Taylor move from Massachusetts to San Diego, Jeff finds himself in his brand new Jeep broken down in the middle of the desert and his wife nowhere to be found.
Ooh, tense.
Also, so here's one of the things that okay. Couple things. I'm jumping in. I'm diving. I'm ready.
Oh no, I was going to ask you to jump in because this is your film.
This is my film.
You've seen it. I would minimum. I'm gonna ballpark 5 times this movie.
I'll go with it. It's probably okay. So I've watched it. I saw this movie when it came out, like the year it hit the video store.
1997.
That sounds right. I was about.
Oh, were you working? Is this you were working in the video store at the time in
1997? I was at the video store, but
okay.
this was and this was one of those movies that it came in and I wanted to watch. It's Kurt Russell, so I was going to watch it anyways. But
sure.
When I was younger, so. I kind of am going to get out in front of part of this movie, a big chunk of this movie, and it does kick off pretty quickly. The movie, the plot of the movie doesn't take long to get started. You're brought into it within 15, 20 minutes of like, here's what's going down. If that long, it might be less, it might be even like 5-10 before the car breaks down and we've got the introduction of JT Walsh and a couple of other people.
Sure.
So one of the things that came up after the movie was over was me realizing that after so many years of growth internally and all that stuff, I realized that I never had the appropriate language to discuss this particular movie appropriately, in my opinion. And that's because when this movie came out in 1997, the term gaslighting it existed, but it 100% was not in the zeitgeist. It was not a major part of people's vocabulary. It was not used. It was,
referred to setting up a light that uses gas.
Yes, where you bend over, you got the fire, the lighter, and
why am I bending over? Oh, okay.
That's how
well, never
gaslighting. Hello. And of course, that term comes from a film from the 30s called Gaslight, and that is what defines the idea of gaslighting. But again, in the 90s, even in the early 2000s, and I would argue until the mid 2000s, the term gaslighting, I don't think was it wasn't used consistently. And not understanding what that meant at the time, I could not have ever explained this movie in a way other than it's a mystery tense thing, kind of thriller. But having that vocabulary now makes this movie, it makes it a little more rich for me, because the movie could really be called Gaslight the Movie. That's what a huge chunk of this film is about, is Kurt Russell and Kathleen Kinlan are moving from Massachusetts to San Diego. They just similar to Duel. They get close to somebody and he kind of sideswipes somebody, even though it was really the other guy's fault. Kind of. And then that comes into this little, they get a little, he and MC Gainey, who's the guy in the truck, they have a little mix up at a gas station. They go on their merry way, and as they are driving at some point down the road, the car breaks down. Again, we're told it's a brand new Jeep, all that stuff. The car breaks down. JT Walsh, as a truck driver, comes. He shows up. He helps them move the car. He offers to take them down the road to the diner that's about 5 miles down the road. Kurt Russell, being a little wary about the other guys who had also just driven past them and kind of spun around way far down the road, were looking at him a little funky. He's a little weirded out about leaving the car.
Yeah, I think it looked like the arrival of the big rig is what scared them off. Is that right?
That's yeah. That's the implication.
I admit it's been. I rewatched this. I watched this the night before we were supposed to record, so it's probably been about 3 weeks. I think I'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
But forgive me.
In that time, Kurt Russell decides he's not comfortable leaving the car. It's only 5 miles down the road, so it should only take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending. So Kathleen Kinlan is willing to go. She gets into the truck. Over half an hour goes past, and Kurt Russell is kind of monkeying around the car and getting a little frustrated, and he realizes there's a couple fuses that were unplugged. I get how he sees it is one of those, like, he's standing on the side with the hood open, and he kind of looks down, and then when he goes to fix the fuses and replug them back in, they're all the way at the bottom in the front of the vehicle. I don't understand how he sees it.
I mean, I stopped working on cars after 1966, which is a longer story, but it's one of those things where they tried to figure it out, and then JT Walsh comes and tries to help them and is like, sorry, I can't help you. So Kurt Russell kind of just sits and waits,
right, until
finally he gets tired of waiting, and then he goes back at it, and then he sees something. So it still felt pretty organic to me.
No, it does. It's more the location. It's that when you're looking for something like this. So this is one of those things that I have a hard time getting out of my head sometimes. Okay. Watch any movie where just any movie, go watch one and see how you feel about it. Watch any movie where somebody is like now just seeing something that's like, maybe it's visible to us, maybe it's not, but they're just now coming across it and realizing it's there. You will never, ever be able to unsee the acting that goes into them going. It becomes a thing. Like, they look around and then suddenly every actor does this. Like, there is a version of the like, oh, that's the thing.
How do I do a double or triple take without it being a double or triple take?
There is no case where if you are watching it and you were actively looking at it, like you're looking at it as they are on a set, you will just, it blows everything.
Well, now I'm going to be looking for it. So I guess
it's really funny. So, you know, yeah, he finds that, he plugs it back in, car starts right up. He drives down the 5 miles to the diner, pulls in, walks through the diner, and asks the person behind the counter, hey, do you have you seen my wife? No, never seen her. He says, okay, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna go down to the next town and then I'll come back. And if she shows up, wait. As he's driving to the next town, he sees the truck going, and this is where the gaslighting starts. He does everything he possibly can, honking his horn, screaming at the truck driver, who is JT Walsh. JT Walsh is just like,
waves him forward, like, go ahead. Yeah.
Kurt Russell finally gets in front of him, hits the brakes, causes the truck to slow down and stop, gets out and is like, hey, where is my wife? To which JT Walsh goes, I don't know who you are, man. I've never seen you before in my life. And it is that moment where, holy crap, you know, that is if you take this for what it is, that's scary, man. That is so scary.
Great decision. Yeah, perfect. I'm so glad they decided to do that rather than, you know, just be outwardly threatening or, you know, overtly suspicious. He just, completely gaslights, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking about. Never seen you. Didn't take your wife. A cop shows up that he had previously kind of gotten into a conversation with. Kurt Russell did, and the cop goes through the truck. He goes through the back of the truck and looks at everything. Kurt Russell flips out and charges into the truck to try and find any evidence, and finds nothing. And the entire time, and it is a really, really great setup where this is, you know, this cop who's not, you know, he's just a cop. He's just a statey, could potentially be helping here, but he's already had one encounter with Kurt Russell, and now Kurt Russell's going way off the reservation in terms of like he's very actively aggravated. You know, his wife is gone. Why wouldn't he be a little annoyed? And on top of that, his wife is gone. He's got the guy who took her right in front of him. And that guy, I don't know what you're talking about. JT Walsh.
The cop can't do anything. He looks like he's crazy. Yeah, no, it's the movie is written very smartly. And it's, I think by the end, no fault of its own.
We're going to get to that.
I have written it's no trespass, which I don't know if this is necessarily playing in the same ballpark. It just feels like it occupies the same space on that VHS shelf. Maybe is what I go back to.
No, I totally see what you're saying. Yeah.
So by the end, it's no trespass necessarily, but it is very smartly written and very concisely paced. Like, there was never a time where I thought it was taking too long with any one thing. It keeps moving. Nothing that happens is actually even so far outside the realm of possibility. Again, maybe until the end-ish.
Let's note this, okay? This movie is a pretty tight, I think story-wise, pretty tight thriller, like you're saying. It's got all that stuff. Towards the end, when the big reveals start coming, it does go into a little bit of the okay, we're gonna crank up the disbelief a little bit. You're gonna have to crank up your suspension of disbelief a little bit.
It just hops off. Like there's car chases, there's explosions, there's car crashes, like,
right,
which is fine. I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying for the most part, this is very smartly done in how kind of normal it is, which I think is entirely on purpose, and I'll tell you why for a couple different reasons. One of them is because Kurt Russell plays his character pretty darn good. Like, he's a pretty good everyman for as dashing and exceptional as he can be in a lot of his stuff, you know.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt it because I love that you're saying that too. He is. I forgot, like, throughout this movie, this is one of those times when I think it's so funny that you know, you have a character like this that's put into this exceptional position, and but everything prior to that, he is totally an everyman. He's a nice husband. He's a good guy, seemingly doesn't really want to rock the boat. He just wants to live his life. And I love that. Continue. Sorry.
I would say not even for the first part of the movie. I think he continues to be the everyman throughout, because this is before I feel like this character would have ended up being a CIA agent. It isn't. There's probably examples of this, you know, going back. But certainly before that became in vogue, certainly before Taken or something like that, you know, let's make that the high water mark or the whatever, because he never really rises above that station. And oftentimes when he makes the decision to do something, you know, when he does get a hold of a gun, or he does, you know, jump into the semi, like you said, when he does take charge, pretty much every single time results in failure. In a way, like he drops the gun, there's nothing there. Like, he continues to be that everyman. In fact, a pretty clumsy everyman for the entirety of the movie. In fact,
there is literally, for me, there is only one moment in the movie where the character is outright. It's unbelievable. Like, that's the suspension of disbelief has to be so strong to get through it, and it's fine because it's a cool action moment. But once he kind of starts figuring stuff out, he realizes he ends up going back to the diner. He tries to get people in the diner to talk to him. Nobody's willing to discuss it with him. He then meets somebody outside the diner who's played by Jack Noseworthy. If you don't know the name, you definitely know the dude. You've seen him in stuff throughout. He's always been a little bit player. But he's playing a character that's supposed to be a little slow, a little whatever you want to call it.
He's like a special needs mechanic for a second, but he's also acting. He's not really. He's actually
right, which we find out later on. But at the time, he kind of gives an idea to Russell about where to go. So Russell goes, and
no, because this will come back. Russell begins to confide in him, and I'll even say I bought it. Like, in the moment, like, I was like, this guy isn't involved. Like, he's found somebody to help him. You know, maybe that's just me or buying into those archetypes.
I liked it.
But he says no, because the cops are in on it too. He's like, don't tell the cops. The cops are in on it too. He's already met the cop, which, by the way, played by Rex Linn, which we will also come back to. So yes, that before you keep going, it's that he implicates the policeman as part of the thing, even though he is in on the thing. So
right,
sorry. Continue.
Which we end up also finding out that the one cop that he's actually run in with twice now, who helped him or who stopped him at the truck, not in on it. Which is, I think, why that was so brilliant, is because you don't know that as the viewer. You are questioning that throughout, especially when stuff. In fact, maybe up until pretty much the end where he gets shot by MC Gainey. Yeah.
I don't think I ever completely knew that something else wasn't going on. Or I guess when they pulls the gun on MC Gainey. Oh, no. Because MC Gainey is down, and the cop pulls the gun on Russell and has it pointed at him, while MC Gainey in the background gets a shot off on the actual cop. And then we know
Gainey was in the car. He was tied up still.
Yeah.
He had a boot gun, and he gets out of the car after Kurt Russell's been told by the cop to get on the ground
because Kurt Russell is holding
he had
the
the
gun.
gun. Right. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Gainey shoots him. Then he ends up shooting Gainey in the back.
So up until pretty much that moment, I don't think I was 100% sure that the cops weren't in on it in some way.
Totally. And the bit with Jack Noseworthy, for me, the thing that sells it is him looking back at the bartender or like the diner guy. And I was like, oh, he does know, and he's not supposed to talk. And that's going to be a thing, like because the diner owner, he's obviously in on it too. It
does seem like it. Speaking of which, the bartender played by Jack McGee, which we will also come back to.
Always love that dude. You see again another dude you've seen in a bunch of stuff. So the unbelievable portion here that we get to where it's legitimately the only part of the movie where I just go, that doesn't jive so hot, but I love it. And essentially, after MC Gainey is killed, MC Gainey is supposed to be bringing Kurt Russell to this truck stop, because we do find out that ultimately they were supposed to take both of the people and kidnap them both. And we realize earlier on there is, and I think it's at the police station, but I don't remember exactly where. We see it's at the police station. They have a huge poster of just missing, like tons of people, kids, family, everything. Which
would point you think in the other direction, that the cops might be in on it, or just really incompetent, you know, like
No, yeah, absolutely. And so Russell ends up figuring out where he's supposed to go. He gets to this truck stop where JT Walsh is waiting for MC Gainey. Here's JT Walsh on the phone telling people, I don't know where the dude is. This is getting way too bad. I'm going, meet me at home. So he gets into his truck and starts driving away, and Kurt Russell trying to get away from the cops that are there, getting away, trying to make sure, and he dives onto the back of the truck, and he gets underneath the truck, and he's kind of in this spot. And at the very beginning of this moment, when he's in underneath the truck, he's at a point where for some reason he's hanging his head down. He's doing like this, except he could very easily be sitting there in a way more comfortable, viable manner.
Yeah, he's in like I think it's a spare tire carriage thing.
Yeah,
it's like
he could totally be sitting in a way safer place. But no. He's going to do it. So then he decides, I got to get all the way up to the cab. Not get in the cab, by the way, just get up to it, because that's where the part of the truck where the bed hook's on. So they're going down the highway, and there's Kurt Russell climbing the bottom of this truck. Then he reaches up and he grabs a thing and he climbs up again. And in this entire
trying to stay out of the side view mirror at the same time.
And this entire
it's definitely a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. JT Walsh is like, we get a couple of shots of him looking in the side view mirror, and then we don't see that again. And at no point am I thinking, oh yeah, he's going to get away with this. There's no way JT Walsh doesn't see that at some point, but he doesn't. And then we get to the point where we're taken to the final kind of the house where JT Walsh's family is, the other guys that are still alive.
He has a family, like wife and kids, by the way, or a kid, I guess.
Yeah. And we find out that the wife was in the truck the entire time
Kurt Russell's wife
in what is kind of, it looked like a morgue drawer that was a hidden drawer on the side of the truck that they pull out, and there she is.
Yeah, he's kitted. Like, he's kitted the entire vehicle out to do this scam over and over, it seems.
Definitely.
I would, in fact, wager he would have to do it over and over, because this is maybe the least believable or doesn't holds up thing of the entire film for me. Is because the whole thing is that he has demanded $90,000 from Kurt Russell,
right,
to free his wife.
Because when they kidnap, so and this is all predicated upon the initial moment of the movie where he sideswipes, quote unquote, MC Gainey, and MC Gainey notes, hey, nice new car, brand new. You got all the stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're right. They're coming from Massachusetts. They're moving to San, like they got money and they're in a new car. And like I said, he's everymanning it up. Like he's a total.
Of course, the kicker to all of this is they make it clear they don't have any money. They're broke, which is partially why they're moving. And the $90,000 number happened to come from a pack of donuts that she bought and told the bad guys. She told the bad guys, we have $90,000. My husband is the donut king. And so we don't kill me and we'll get you 90 grand.
You know, I totally freaking missed that.
I didn't catch it. This is the first time I caught it. After watching it this many times, I always thought they had the money. I thought it was a thing, and it didn't click to me until they specifically, they're going to shoot Kurt Russell if he doesn't tell them the exact dollar amount that his wife mentioned. And they just mention it like 10 minutes prior that you can win $90,000 or 90,000 donuts.
That I got. Yeah, and I thought that was neat, but this still doesn't negate my complaint, what I'm about to say. $90,000? Sure, today, not a lot of money. I mean, would be a lot of money to me, but not a lot of money for this scheme. Also in 97, probably not enough. Like they would have to pull out, especially if there's how many people in, like there's 4 guys, right? MC Gainey, JT Walsh, Noseworthy. Is there maybe the bartender, I guess. There's minimum 4 people in on this thing. Yeah. At $90,000 a pop. Like they're going to have to do a few of these every year to kind of make it worth it. It seems like. And then
we know that they do in 2 different ways.
I guess, but still it seems like a very small amount of money for all of the trouble. But I guess if they've got it down to a science, I don't know.
That's the thing. Okay, let's go through this.
It doesn't ruin the movie. No, I was just saying that's my little bit of.
I have answers for you. That's the thing.
Okay,
so number one, they make it clear. MC Gainey does and Noseworthy does. This is different. This should not have happened. This has not happened before. This is a problem. This guy is a problem, and it's all because they couldn't. JT Walsh couldn't get them both in the truck with him. So that's part one. Number two, we know for a fact they do this multiple times, all the time. That's why he's got the truck. But also we know this because when they go back to his house in the barn, it is filled with wallets and stereos and cameras and anything that was in a vehicle that could be considered money.
There's no doubt they've done this many times, I think.
And then beyond that, they're also in that same moment, they talk about how, we're just going to have to lay low out there. And so instead, let's go east. We'll do it for a little while there and we'll make our way back. It's fine. This is clearly all they're doing. That's the gig. I don't think in my head canon, because we don't have this information. I don't think JT Walsh is even a trucker. I think he takes care of his license. I don't think
that would be interesting.
I don't think he works for anybody. I think this is what he does.
Yeah, necessarily. Yeah. Well, it's though if he did, that would make the only $90,000 maybe. It's totally fine. It didn't ruin the movie. I think it's hilarious that we're arguing about the financial viability of their business plan, but
it is completely viable, and I think they're doing it right.
Okay. The main thing I liked about this movie, besides everything we've talked about that I did already like also, but I think one of the bigger things it has going for it that really works also to tie it all together, this movie is a little bit, and I always hesitate to use this word because it's so classic and academic, but it is just a little bit, maybe perhaps, if you think about it, and when I tell you, Hitchcockian.
Denouement.
In its handling. Not only because it does kind of use the everyman trope which Hitchcock did a bunch. In fact, he wasn't a stranger to the whole gaslighting routine also, for that matter.
True.
But I kept going back to Vertigo more than any other because it does have that great moment where he reunites with Kim Novak, and like you don't like they've done such a good job of you being like, is that the same girl? And then he's like recreating her anyway. So I'm not above. In fact, any director would be, aware of any Hitchcockian nature, I would feel like, of their movies. So Jonathan Mostow, I'm sure, is to credit somewhat, but also the composer, the dude, which Basil Polidorus. I don't know if I said that correctly.
Great name.
Well, he's got a great resume. Also, worked with Paul Verhoeven a bunch. So he did RoboCop, I think 1 and 3 at the very least.
Nice.
Hunt for Red October, Free Willy, Starship Troopers, again Verhoeven, Les Miserables, and in fact, this will be the second time. Oh no, that's coming up. I was gonna say he did Cool as Ice, but
dang it,
we're gonna talk about somebody else that did Cool as Ice that was in this movie also.
Jack Noseworthy.
But he does such a good job of bringing out all that Hitchcockian stuff.
Yeah.
The score is so good and so transformative to this movie, which I don't think would have been necessarily, speaking of Hitchcock, something to write home about, as far as homages go or whatever. But he totally raises the caliber of this thing overall with the music that he puts into it, that he scores into it. So that... And like I said, the third act, when stuff starts to hop off, I think it's earned, and I think they've done enough groundwork throughout that you are even still, like, how is this going to end? What's happening? Kurt Russell's this fumbling guy most of the time. He never really, has the moment where he's in charge. Honestly, really never.
No, never. Yeah.
But he pulls it off, and it makes you want to root for him. And it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I liked it. The other thing I want to mention, because you called out Hitchcockian, I think there are a number of very clear shots that are Hitchcockian as well. The way there's a couple of like those Dutch angled shots and the deep zoom into the face type thing that brings out those thrillery noiry aspects of the film. They're not overused, it's not overwrought or anything, but there are a couple of just really wonderful like shots that establish this movie is a little more on the thriller side, a little it's got a little more of a twisted feel to it.
I didn't notice those myself. I would agree they're probably used sparingly, because I think also for the majority of the film, it's an everyman film also, it's not really flashy. It is kind of just functional. I'm probably wrong. If I watched this movie a second time, I'm sure I'd notice some stuff, but
I like I said, it is sparing. There's a couple here and there, and it's not overdone. I think that was purposeful. I think they wanted to keep this a very even keeled kind of filmed movie. And I dug that. The other thing that I do also really enjoy, I like that this movie has the story that it has, and the explanation that we get for it is we don't get one. They just are doing it. We don't know why. We don't know who they are. We don't know if there's more people. We don't know who else could have been. Who was he calling? Was he just calling Noseworthy and the other guy that was in the truck with MC Gainey, the bigger dude? Was he calling a totally different person that we didn't meet at that point? I don't know. How much does the wife know? Because she clearly is aware that there is stuff, but she doesn't know about the wife. I don't think she knows about the kidnapping, but she definitely knows something. Like, she clearly does.
She knows there's a barn she's not allowed to go into with a trap door. Like, she might not know about the trap door, I guess, but still, she knows her husband disappears. And
but yeah, it's super interesting, and I do really love that the idea of how scary that is, that in the middle of nowhere something like this happens, and like, it does feel like this is something that could occur, and you could go into a small town police station that is kind of in the middle of nowhere, that's in a very, 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 very small town, and just see a litany of missing posters. I like this movie a lot, and I think it's suitably scary when you put all of that into context. I will say, if you want a couple of fellow companion films for this,
Okay.
the ones that I would suggest are Duel, Spielberg's first movie, fantastic. Sure. Love that one. The Hitcher. The remake is actually okay, but the original Hitcher with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell, another one of these movies it's a road movie type thing. It takes place in the desert, has a good feel to it. And the other one I will mention is Joyride, which is definitely more of a horror take on it, and it fits very solidly between Duel and Breakdown. Has Steve Zahn and and R.I.P. Paul Walker.
R.I.P. Paul Walker.
And I'm trying to remember the name of the woman that's in it, and I can't remember her name, and I think she played
in which one?
In Joyride. And I think she played she was in Sin City, and she played one of the women in Old Town.
Lily Sobieski.
Oh, it's Lily Sobieski. It's not her. She was instead in other movies.
Well, so tell me then, if this is a common theme throughout all of these movies you've just mentioned, because I don't think I've seen any of those, including Duel, strangely enough.
Oh, Duel, you'll love it.
Yeah, it's Spielberg. He's great. The other thing I like that this movie does is, and this is what I wanted to come back to about all the actors, it does take all of these like A-list character actors,
dude,
probably not strictly defined A-listers, but still MC Gainey, who has been in so much stuff. This probably isn't even the first time he's played a character named Bo. Let's put it that way.
That's probably true.
JT Walsh.
JT, man. That guy.
Rex Lynn, like I said, you recognize. Jack McGee, again, the bartender. Jack Noseworthy, you did mention. Even Kathleen Quinlan, who's, I think, probably done far more. Like, she might be an actual A-lister, especially at this time, or something like that. She's not used a whole bunch in this movie. You can imagine she's not in the movie after she gets kidnapped a whole bunch. But this movie does kind of gather all of these character actors, many of which could carry a movie probably all on their own, even if they don't quote unquote look like it, right? That's probably the main issue here and there, but just by strength of acting alone, and puts them all in the same movie and then basically makes like a Voltron like powerhouse of a film after that. Is that something that happens again in any of these other movies that you mentioned?
So I would say just by virtue of the lack of cast in The Hitcher, yes. The Hitcher, I think, is an all-timer. That movie is number one of the, again, it is legitimately one of the scariest movies that's come across, and it's not the violence, and it's actually the violence in that movie is very tame. It's a lot of the mental, like something, like they explain what happened, but you never see it. You don't, nothing. You hear about the aftermath of the situation.
I feel like that was an early entry on our October Ween list for this year. I think last time we talked about it.
It may be, because I mentioned it actually in one of the recent newsletters. It was, and when I was a kid, it was one of the only movies. In fact, it was the only movie that my mother outright would not let my dad rent, and we couldn't bring it home from the video store. She was absolutely terrified of it. It scared and I don't think it's that scary like for her, but for me, it's similar to this in how the concept works. Duel, not at all. Duel is there's nobody in it that you're gonna know. It's very much a Duel is like early road rage. Basically, it's a guy on his way to work, a business guy. He passes a truck, and that's what sets the truck driver off. And then the truck driver is chasing him. Well, I don't think he ever gets out of the truck. It's the truck versus this guy.
That's nice. Love that.
And Joyride is similar in the sense that, again, it's Steve Zahn and Paul Walker. So neither of them were ever A-listers. Let's be real. Really, Paul Walker's an A-lister in my heart.
Okay.
In my heart. That movie is actually kind of similar to Duel in the sense that they pick up the CB and they make fun of a truck driver kind of thing, and then the truck driver's hunting them.
So it's more about the joy with Steve Zahn and Paul Walker.
Yeah, and well, it's more about the joy with Steve Zahn, but when you're talking about Paul Walker, it's all about the ride.
So good. So all right. Well, here's a fun game then. Between all of these, like I said, definite A-listers in this movie, MC Gainey, J.T. Walsh, Rex Lynn, Jack McGee, Jack Noseworthy, and sure, Kathleen Quinlan will include. Who do you think has the most credits on IMDb under acting credits?
I would guess MC Gainey, but I'm it's going to end up being Jack Noseworthy somehow.
Strangely enough, MC Gainey is in second place under Jack McGee.
That makes sense, man. Jack McGee. I'm trying to think.
Noseworthy, bottom of the list, actually, 55. Jack McGee, 222. MC Gainey, 190.
Okay. Hit us with some Jack McGee big ones. Hit us with some of the faves. Because
jeez.
You'd recognize him when you saw him.
Cool as Ice. There it is. The Fighter, Gangster Squad, Basic Instinct, and Drive Angry are for some reason the four that IMDb tells you he's known for. Good gosh.
Drive Angry is pretty good.
Like, you're getting up to this, it's literally, and he's done a lot of TV, so Will and Grace, NCIS, again, shows that kind of who hasn't been on them. Bones, Law and Order, of course.
You ever watch Bones?
No, I know you like it. It's been on the long list, not necessarily the short list.
Yeah. I was curious. You ever check it out?
Well, it's right up my alley. I like the actors and procedural and all that stuff. So why not?
It's a solid. I can say that's a great workout show, man.
There you go. Yeah. CSI again for Jack McGee. Tyrannosaurus Azteca, of course. You were probably wondering about that one.
That's the one I was thinking of, yeah.
Veronica Mars. Where are the actual movies, though? LA Confidential TV movie?
I'm trying. Okay, there's a specific movie that I'm thinking of where I can see his stupid face.
Legally Blonde.
Oh, it's got to be way
Spin City. Coyote Ugly.
I'm glad we're spending our time doing this, by the way.
X-Files. I'm not going to get up to 222, but you can tell. Chicago Hope. ER. He did both of those. Buffy. Baywatch. Seinfeld. Rumpelstiltskin.
It was it's Lethal Weapon 2. That's
right,
where I freaking remember.
Lethal Weapon 3 also.
Lethal Weapon 2 and Backdraft are where I remember him. In Lethal Weapon, he is the guy who is working on Murtaugh's house, and they get into it. Yep. There is a fight, and at one point he shows him the brand new, at the time that movie came out, the brand new nail gun he had just got, and they end up using the nail gun to kill a guy.
L.A. Law, Perfect Strangers, Night Court, Saint Elsewhere might have been where he actually broke a little bit. Yeah. Anyways, Jack McGee. R.I.P. He's still alive. Always glad to see him.
Rest in Paramus, New Jersey.
Yes. Just take a break. That's all I meant was rest in, whatever.
He's from New Jersey. Rest in Paramus. It's where the Holiday Inn is. That's where the end of the world is going to happen. Ghostbusters 2 reference.
Breakdown is good. 39.5.23 stars.
Out of 42.
I still got it, man. I thought I'd throw you off with all that.
I got it. I got it.
So if you two liked Breakdown, we probably ruined most of it. I'd say it's still watchable, even knowing kind of what's going to happen. You should check it out. Let us know if you liked it at podcast@bookclubformovies.com or Facebook and Twitter or Patreon.
Yeah, do that.
Or what's the other thing people can email, I guess? I don't know.
Just send us, smoke signals or telegrams.
Anything. Matt, we don't know what we're doing next week, but I do have a list.
Oh, I know what we're doing next. Yeah, I know what we're doing next week. I know what we're doing next week. It is available to stream on Hulu, so you're going to go to hulu.com for that. It may be on other places too, but I am a fan of. I like mysteries. I like murder. I like murder mysteries that take place in random places. I like interesting stories that have European or not even African backgrounds.
I cannot figure it out, but I bet it has Jack McGee in it.
I love gigantic mustaches, and I love Wonder Woman.
Selleck.
And I
what in the world?
I love.
Does Thulis have a mustache?
I love
Wonder Woman.
Thor. The Thor is good.
What the heck?
We're gonna watch Death on the Nile.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Well,
I went there with it.
All right. Sure. Yeah. We'll wrap up our continuing coverage of these horror movies. Did Branagh direct this one too? Actually,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Fair. Yeah. We watched it, and I want to talk about it.
Oh, good. Well, that makes me feel even better that you've watched it and you still want to do a show on it. So
I definitely do.
Come back next week for Death on the Nile.
Yes.
Matt, we have so much time. Do you have any other movies you want to talk about for the rest of the show this week?
I actually do have a rest of the show. The movie that I wanted to talk about. So, I don't remember exactly what it was that set me off on this weird thing. But I again, talking about mysteries and thieves and stuff like that. I always love that stuff. We're looking for something to put on, and I just needed something in the background, and I put on the Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's such a cool movie. Everything about that movie is extremely slick. It is McTiernan doing his thing, Brosnan killing the game as the non-James Bond James Bond, Rene Russo just absolutely doing her thing as the art insurer that's trying to figure out what's going on with Thomas Crown. It's great,
doing
man.
Her thing as the art insurer.
Yes, she's insuring art, making sure its existence is not futile. That's a great flick, though. It's beautiful. The concept behind it, it's a remake from not Steve Martin, Steve Bullitt McQueen. And that was a cool one. I like this one.
Never seen that one, actually.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Steve McQueen, fun stuff. It's I like this one. It's actually, I do know what it was. Okay, this is going to be a weird why we went down this whole road. We watched some movie a couple nights ago. Or TV show on Amazon, and it was Hudson Hawk. Actually, we watched Hudson Hawk, and I was flipping through.
It all goes back to Hudson Hawk.
We were flipping through, and I like to every once in a while see if you like this movie, what about this? And we ended up on the trailer for The Tailor of Panama, which is a movie with him and Jeffrey Rush that I saw in the theaters, and I was so smitten by it. I was just taken by that movie at the time I saw it, and I haven't seen it since. But that led to Thomas Crown, and so that was what we put on, and yeah, super great. I want to watch The Tailor of Panama again. I remember really liking it.
Sounds like that's the next one. Yeah, you're gonna.
I remember really liking it, man. It was, I think, the first time I'd seen Jeffrey Rush outside of, I think he had done Pirates at that point. So I had only seen him in Pirates and then the movie about Desaad, and I can't remember what that one was called.
Yeah, I feel like us that came into Jeffrey Rush with Pirates of the Caribbean, he'd probably be, I don't know, he seems like a cool dude. He'd probably be fine with that, but I feel like he's probably done a lot of good work before that.
I mean, that movie about Desaad is great, Marquis, right. But I can't remember what the hell it's called. I don't know. It was good. But Thomas Crown's fun. Super fun. It's on Amazon.
Holds up. Doesn't look too 90s like.
Man. I think it's that's one of those flicks that just kind of exists in an ether, like that there's nothing that sets the movie in a particular time period outside of, we know it's well past Magritte is dead, like that's what we know. So whatever. That's cool.
So I've got maybe a quickie because you've already talked about it, but I did watch it. Tick Tick Boom.
Oh man, what a film! What
it is a good movie.
Loved it. Loved it.
And I didn't know, probably I haven't seen Rent. Like I know far less about Jonathan Larson's life, I feel like, than you probably did, having had the Daisy Loves Rent experience that you did.
Yeah.
Which is the name of your daughter, who really enjoyed. That's a kind of a strange sentence that I feel like wouldn't make sense to some people listening, but
whatever.
Tick Tick Boom is a great movie. It's kind of got one of the all-time openers with that freaking poppy Happy Birthday song that is still stuck in my head literally, but also the work that is done just within the time frame of that first song is almost like a first act in a bottle.
It's a lot.
And the movie isn't content with that. Like, it keeps going. It extends, it's over 2 hours, so it takes its time. By the end, you're glad that it did. It's just does so much work in the first 5 minutes that you're like, whoa, that it kind of by necessity has to slow down as it continues through the rest. And it doesn't slow down much. Don't get me wrong. There's a few bangers in that soundtrack, but by the end, it's all worth it. It all is there for a reason and leads to something. And you're right about Garfield. Like, dude, sells every single second of it. Even the fake piano playing, which very often doesn't work for me in a lot of different movies.
Yeah,
I think he nails it. I'm pretty sure that's his voice too, right?
He sang it, and man, he killed it on a bunch of those songs.
It doesn't sound overly produced. I would bet it's minimally pitch corrected. And it's kind of a brilliant idea for a film also, because it is. So speaking of his three works, right? Superbia, this Tick Tick Boom, which was kind of a one-man show, if I understood correctly. In fact, there was a sign at one point that said one night only. Did the actual Tick Tick Boom only happen on one night ever?
I think, yeah.
That's nuts. That is crazy.
And
dude.
I mean, they recorded it. They've got all the video from it. So it's,
right, yeah, they show the footage at the end. It's pretty cool. And then Rent, right? So those are his three. And I like Sondheim stuff in the film. It's fun, but
the Sondheim stuff was super great. Yeah, I love that.
Freaking Bradley Whitford too.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. I didn't even want to talk that much about this because I feel like you did sing its praises, but
don't go for it, man.
The central conceit of the film is so cool because it is, on the one hand, a recreation of that performance of Tick Tick Boom, while telling the story of Jonathan Larson's life, because Tick Tick Boom itself is just a one-man show on a stage. Tick Tick Boom, the movie, is him like dancing around apartments, dancing around all these, for the most part, pretty enclosed spaces and pretty ho-hum surroundings to tell probably pretty normal or yes, very personal, but still very, not mundane, because it's all seems so extraordinary, but a very normal story, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Rent is too. Rent is.
Is it also okay?
Rent is beautiful. I recommend it. Watch it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I get the love for it, and I think it does a wonderful job of putting a lot of the things that he handled and that they do talk about, the AIDS stuff. That's a huge part of it.
Right.
The relationships that he builds throughout Tick Tick Boom. That's a huge part of Rent. Like, it's all there. It's all there.
That's super cool. Yeah, definitely gonna have to watch it now.
And and Rent it's got some great songs to it. And then it's also got that one song that
with the numbers in it. The only one I know.
5,073,042. I get the point of the song. Song's beautiful. It's wonderful when you listen to the lyrics, but stop with the numbers. The song. It's
when you've listened to it the same amount of times, it begins to lose its luster. Is that what you're saying?
It's on the same tier for me as Smells Like Teen Spirit. If I never hear it again in my life, I'll be fine.
All right, well, calm down.
I'm trying.
Yeah. I would say if anybody's on the fence about Tick Tick Boom, go look up the duet between him and his then girlfriend. But I think see, it's even hard to explain, but it's because Tick Tick Boom is also talking largely about his process of making Superbia, that it all meets in the middle, where he's having issues with his real life girlfriend, but also needs a song in Superbia to bridge the acts, or I forget what it is. I forget exactly the structural reason, but needs that song for that. And also while performing Tick, Tick, Boom. So it's intercut it's a duet between him and his actual girlfriend, but also the girl in Superbia, but also on stage. It's literally bringing all of those things to bear in one song at the same time. I'm not going to do it justice, but if you're on the fence about Tick, Tick, Boom, go watch that song and be like, oh, like art, life, performance, and how they all come together. And if that doesn't sell you on it, then I guess you're beyond help. But great movie. Yeah. Tick, Tick, Boom.
Nice, man. Yeah. Glad you liked that. Yeah. I thought that was solid. Real fun.
Do you have another movie?
I don't. Okay. I don't got anything right now.
Can I give you one more then?
Of course you can.
So I don't listen to it religiously, but I'll pick up an episode here and there. The How Did This Get Made podcast?
Yes, of course.
So what I love about that show is that even though it's kind of on its face, it's look at this crazy movie, this maybe bad movie, and we're kind of making fun of parts of it. I feel like that's the short sell. For the most part, they don't really do that. For the most part, oftentimes they're like, what in the world? Go listen to the Visitor show. Might be the last time we actually talked about how did this get made. But oftentimes they're just like, this is what this movie is, and they totally take it on its own terms.
Yeah.
And for most of the shows, they are over the moon about the films for one reason or another. Even if it is, they're just so crazy and out there. It's never in a kind of negative fashion. Anyway.
Yeah, they're not malicious. They're not trying to be malicious even a little bit.
Yes.
They love movies, and this is just a situation of, like, it is a funny question. How did this get made? How did the most recent episode that I just listened to, Rad, how did Rad get made? I
have that queued, but I want to rewatch the movie first. Yeah.
When you get to the point where they tell you what the budget for that movie is, if you don't either throw your phone, drop it, or just scream a little bit,
it's either $1,000 or $20 million.
Beth and I went, what? And when you hear it, Mantzoukas has the absolute perfect rejoinder for the number.
Good show. This is all a very roundabout way to say they didn't even do a show on this movie. They just mentioned it in passing. The Unstoppable movie from, oh gosh, I think there's a few.
Oh, the one with Chris Pine.
Yes.
And it's the train movie.
Yes, 2010, Chris Pine, Denzel Washington. It is
Denzel.
1,000,000% the exact movie you think it is, beat for beat for beat. And Mantzoukas was 100% correct. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
I tried to say it like him too. Yeah. It's so good because it is just everything you're expecting, but not in a bad way. And this is what I think I love about their show is something they've given to me is that you can watch a movie like this that can be market driven. It can be formulaic. It can be predictable.
It can be Morbius.
It can. Yeah. It makes you think about. I haven't seen Morbius yet. That was not a commentary on Morbius.
No, it's just the way you went.
Spit take,
the way you had nothing for it was.
Well, because it makes you think about why. Because I feel like I've seen movies like this in the past, and they still won't click. Like there are many Unstoppables out there where I can't defend like I'm about to defend Unstoppable because it's the same exact thing, but something puts them over the top. Maybe it's just a mood thing. Maybe I come to them maybe it's a preparation thing. Maybe, like I said, Mantzoukas, How Did This Get Made? Did it for me. When it came to this, I went into it knowing exactly what I was getting. But it works. Like it's done in a way. Maybe I haven't watched one of these in a long time. Like if I had watched 5 of these leading up to this one, might be less enthused about it. But it just hit me at the right place and time. But I also think very competently made. Do I like everything they did in the movie? No. Like I think there's some pretty funny decisions, some pretty funny choices in there. When it comes to movies like this, you even get the look you're expecting. It's kind of very high contrast, lots of long lenses. It's very trying to recreate real life in a way. It's got Denzel Washington in it, so it's like there's a blue collar job in there somewhere. He's doing something it's all of that, but it's good, and I think it has a hell of a third act that I could not stop watching, and don't care if any of it's true.
All right. I will check that out. I'll watch that.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Unstoppable. That's all I got. Those are my two.
All right. Well, come back next week for a Death on the Nile.
I accidentally threw to you for the outro that you never do.
And
wow, see, it's smooth. Look at me snapping my fingers.
Yeah.
This is
come back next
clockwork.
week. We're going to be doing Death on the Nile. You've already been given all the information on where you can reach us, so follow that information. And we'll talk to you then. Goodbye! Oh, also, real quick.
I thought you were going to throw to me for the bye then.
No, I will, but hold on. One more thing. Jonathan Blade, thank you for correcting my ridiculous, absolute stupidity regarding the live show. It was not James Coburn in Maverick. It was James Garner in Maverick, both in the movie and the show. He still played the same. He played Maverick in the show and was the daddy Maverick cop in the movie, but it wasn't Coburn. It was James Garner. So,
okay, Coburn was the bad guy from Maverick the movie.
I think he was actually the bad guy in the movie, though.
I know he was definitely in the movie because that's what I looked up and I knew him from. Okay, well, yes, thank you to Jonathan Blade for Hey, you know what? I love being corrected. We don't say this often enough. I'm wrong all the time. Tell me when I'm wrong. It's all new information. I'll never be wrong again. That's the way I see it.
I love it. I bye.
Bye.
Breakdown.